Hello everyone, and welcome to Marvin Gardens, August 2021. Now it is late August 2021, which means we've passed the high holy days of gardening. We've passed the peak of production, but there's still a lot going on. So let's take a look around. By flipping the camera around, and I'll show you one of the participants here, Mr. Franklin. He was wagging his tail because he wanted to get in on the video. Right around here, let's see, under there, you can see Cassie and Jolie. All three were a little reluctant to come out to the garden, but I told them they had to come out and participate. So let's start down here where we usually start, and that's with the garlic chives and Mr. Coco keeping a good eye out on things. As you can see now, the garlic chives are pretty much in full bloom, as they're going to be. Some of them have still yet to bloom, but that's always a good sign. We still got some winter time going on down here, but it's drying out a little bit, and we even got a couple of scallions that I never pulled, that are sitting down here doing okay. Anyway, they're pullable. And as we expected, the pond irises are pretty much overtaking the entire space. We do have a little bit of chives going nicely, and the basil, which is doing okay. We've had lots of basil harvesting this year from various locations. They're planted all over the place. Got to show you what's going on in here. As you may recall, the onions seem to get a very slow start, and so they were harvested later than usual and laid out here to dry later than usual. But other than the fact that it's a much more meager harvest than usual, they are looking pretty good, and I think we've got a minimal amount of soft ones, or ones with soft spots. And then you might remember our bonsai plant, which is continuing to do just fine out here. And if you look really close, if I can find it, yeah, right there, it's actually been blooming a little bit, so that's kind of nice. Yeah, both dogs, came in with me. They're good companions. Oh, I can't even find Frankie. He's down there someplace. There he is. There's his butt. All right. So let's proceed on to bed number 1, as per our usual tour. And that brings us to, look, it's Vanina, who's been out, I think, mowing like crazy, which I've been doing earlier. And so anyway, here we are, bed number 1, and the radishes, which never did much of anything, have been pulled, and the turnips are still going, but as you can see, I don't know, something got to them, or they didn't get watered enough or something. I don't think it could be that, but I think something kind of got to them. Some are still good. We'll probably harvest them in the not too distant future, and then I'll probably end up planting another couple of rows of them, because there might be enough time to get good ones before the season ends. And I'll probably try some radishes too as the weather starts to cool. This you would not expect to see a sign like that in the brassica bed, but this is where the carrots were. Got a nice harvest of carrots, and I just planted a row of zucchinis there. Again, this is late summer planting of summer squash, and we don't know if we'll actually get something or not, but at least something will be growing there. Now, if I can step in here and point the camera properly, like so, and then you can see that there's a nice little cauliflower head showing up there, and there's another one over here on this plant, and I think another one back there too. These are the very early variety of cauliflower, which the first time around I wasn't ready for, and but these, we've already had a couple come through, and they've been pretty good. To the left of them are flame star cauliflower, which have not started to form yet, and to the right of them are attribute cauliflowers, which also have not started to form, but they'll probably be okay. Then we got a questionable row of cabbage here. That one that's off in the distance there, that's a little sunburned, probably should be harvested, even though it's kind of small. I finally just pulled out all the broccoli that was growing here. I just got tired of it doing such anemic growth, and was tired of looking at them. So I think I planted some summer squash in that place too. Now, our Brussels sprouts, now I don't know if you can see close enough, but they're just continuing to be plagued by white flies, and the Brussels sprouts formation is just anemic. So kind of disappointed in that. Now down here, however, these afterthought sort of summer squash, these are lemon drop, I believe, have been doing fine, although one by one they've been looking sickly, and I would pull them out as they do, but we've been getting a regular harvest of them throughout the season so far. Oh, and before we leave bed one, I forgot to check in on the herb garden, the main herb garden. Now, down there, you can see we do have some basil going there, small, but it looks the healthiest of what we have around. The dill is done for, but those are dill seeds at the end there, which if I'm thinking straight, the next few days I'll pull off of there. And cilantro, coriander is done, both plants. Again, I don't know if these little I can't get them to focus, but these little balls are there you go, are something that can be harvested or not. I don't know. Chives, this stand of chives is looking fine, and this stand of garlic chives, or what do you call it? Garlic chives or Asian leeks, that's it. I never remember the dual name. As you can see, blooming just like the other ones, and doing fine. Parsley, we don't have any parsley anymore. I don't know what happened to that, just died off. But sage, one part of the plant is doing great, and the rest of the plant is not doing so good at all. The rosemary looks very nice still, and although the German winter time is fallen over a little bit, it's been expanding, and there's lots of it, lots more than we can use. Probably should figure out how to try and freeze it or something like that. Anyway, now we can continue on. And this jungle, as you might recall, are just extra tomato seedlings that we planted here just to see how they do. And they're, other than the fact that they're too tight to one another, which makes them very difficult to harvest, they've been doing fine. I mean, they look a whole lot better than our main crop of tomatoes did last year at this time, which had just sort of burnt out. Compost heap is not doing much heaping and not doing much composting either. I don't know if I'm going to get a load this year or just skip this year, probably. But anyway, that's where that's at. Now, as you recall, we had pretty good vine melon growth in the grow house, but no melons forming. But now you can see those 5 orange flags. Each marks where a melon is forming. And yeah, I think you can see that one right in the center of the screen, which is about as big as they've gotten so far. They're also late in their formation, but at least we got some. Unfortunately, the vines themselves don't look so healthy. They've got some mildew, they've got some browning and yellowing, and so it's just a question of if we can keep the vines healthy enough, long enough to actually get some melons that mature. But I am encouraged that at least we've got some. Now, this end of the bed is where we had some basil planted. Also had a volunteer marigold, which is, it's a giant marigold, so it's doing crazy. And a lot of pond irises came up here, and I've added to them from other spots in this bed to make this. I don't think it's going to be a permanent. I think I'll transplant these someplace else, but at least for now they can grow here. But this is where the onions were, and they've all been harvested, as you saw them drying in the greenhouse. And we've replanted this entire bed. These 3 rows are scallions, which were last month growing indoors in a flat, and then the rest of this bed is freshly planted several varieties of flowers. I'm not going to bore you by telling you what each one is, but they're literally just planted a couple of days ago, again a little behind schedule, so we're hoping we get some flowering before the frost, but there's no guarantees. And this is the second planting of broccoli. Against my better judgment, I just replanted those same ones that didn't do so well over in the broccoli bed, so we'll see how they do. That brings us on to bed number 3, and the quote-unquote bookend ground cherries have been doing great. We've got ground cherries growing all over the place besides the ends of this bed here. Lots to eat, too much for us to keep in front of, but nice to have and nice to snack on while we're in the garden. Then, as you can probably tell right there, we've got eggplants here, and we've had a lot of the eggplants just sort of drop off and spoil, but we've also gotten a bunch of good ones. They're kind of small. This isn't the best eggplant year we've had, but they're still coming in. They're still just starting to bloom, so we should get those for quite a while. Now, here's our dragon roll peppers. A couple of rows here, and you can see what they look like. And if you leave them on, they get orange-ish red, and I haven't really tasted one to see how hot they are, but I believe they're a hot-ish pepper. Meanwhile, the Tangerine Dream peppers, which are these little plants here, as you can see, are getting nice tangerine color on them, some of them, and the plants themselves have remained very tiny, which I didn't expect, but they're still healthy and everything, so that's good. These are called California Wonder, and if I can get you a good look at that one, you can kind of see why. They're nice big blocky bell peppers, and they turn green, red if you leave them on the plant long enough. And we've gotten quite a few, and the peppers, pretty much every year we seem to have pretty good luck with peppers, so that's why it's always a go-to. These are called Thunderbolt, but they're not hot, but they're that horn-shaped pepper, and I believe they'll turn red if you leave them long enough, but we haven't left any of them long enough to go. Our last our last crop of lettuce, everything bolted before we had a chance to harvest and eat anything of it. So I've just replanted from seed a bunch more, because in the cooler weather we might have a chance at getting some lettuce and actually consuming it before it bolts. Now over to another set of flowers, which have looked better, but at least they're growing. These were those cone flowers that last time were kind of getting chomped off, but they have gone into a full bloom, and they look more like black-eyed Susans to me, but I suppose if they say they're a cone flower, they are a cone flower. These are the status, which have continued to bloom okay, although they tend to fall over. And then straw flowers in several colors, also prone to falling over. The chamomile, which is what's sort of in this row anymore, not very much, it's actually blooming, but it is doing okay. Well, doing okay. It did okay. And then this is a couple rows of okra, and okra, as typical, some of the plants just give up the ghost early, and some of them keep going right up until frost. There's a very harvestable okra, and we've had quite a bit. So it's a successful okra year. Now this Kentucky blue pole bean, for some reason, is just sort of kind of withered out. There's still a couple of beans on there if you look closely, but I don't know if something got to it or whether it just didn't get enough water or something. Meanwhile, on the other side, those asparagus yard-long beans have been doing fine. They've slowed down a little bit in their production, but the plants themselves look pretty good, and we have gotten quite a few of them. And now I need to step back in order to show you the state of the sunflower stand, the mammoth sunflowers, and some of them are more mammoth than others, but they were planted and replanted in a staggered manner, so that some of these, which are pretty much done for, that the birds are now feasting on, but some of them are just blooming or in the peak of what they tend to be. And this one, for example, is just a gorgeous looking sunflower, and so we've been enjoying those all pretty much all summer long. All right, Frankie boy. Frankie's following me around like the good guy that he is, and so is Cassie. They like to be where the action is. Now, the tomatoes have been fantastic, exploding, going like crazy. They're starting the main crop of them are starting to, the plants themselves are starting to brown a little bit, but they're still producing a nice amount of tomatoes. And we've made close to 5 gallons of tomato sauce, and been drying them like crazy as well. The tomatoes have been successful this year, and that brings us to the formal summer squash planting. Let me aim at them a little bit better. And the so-called lemon drop summer squash, which are the roundish yellow ones, have done much better than the other two varieties. In fact, I don't even see that there are any of the other two varieties showing anymore, because as the plants start to look diseased, I just pull them out. And I've since planted more of each variety in some of the vacancies here, but that was just a few days ago and yet to show. Now I did harvest the leeks from over in the onion bed, but I had another row of leeks here which are past due being harvested, but if I get to them in the next week or so, there should be good leeks, even if I have to peel off some outer layers. All right, so let's take our usual journey out to the asparagus patch, and I'll show you that embarrassment, and I'll tell you why it's an embarrassment in just a minute. If I can get this gate closed. Sorry for the camera work, as always. Hopefully I have something else to intercut. The embarrassment is all the weeds that have grown up all over the place. I just haven't been out here probably in the past month to try to keep those things under control. So there's all these thistle plants, and that's like some huge grass or wheat or who knows what, and they're just surrounding the asparagus, which still seem to be growing okay, but look, even that the thistle's even blooming. That's how long I've let it go. So that's the embarrassing part of this. Just haven't got to that yet, that's all. But the asparagus themselves seem to be doing okay for the most part, and even some of the places where none of them came up to begin with, they have started to come up a little bit, so that's always a good sign for next year. Now, what has been just doing great is our little marsh area. I think I counted 13 cattails, and they are full size and even starting to shed their floaty seeds a little bit. And then of course the pond irises are just unstoppable. But here's more cattail plants that are expanding out from the original area. So we're hoping that this just continues to expand and stay as a nice little marsh stand for us. All right, so let us go back inside and finish up this tour. I just need to open and close the gate. Show you a shot of the puppies. There we go. Okay, we're all latched up, and off we go. Here's the back side of the flowers at the end of this bed, and sunflower that we've got potted there, doing fine. And now we just recently took a family trip up to Kennebunkport, Maine, to see my sister and brother-in-law, and another sister and another brother-in-law, and hordes of nieces and nephews and great nieces and great nephews. Vanina brought back a bunch of beach rocks from Goose Rocks Beach, and so now what I said was a duck before, we're pretending that it's a goose in honor of Goose Rocks Road, and we're in Goose Rocks Beach, which is where we got the stones. And then we liked them so much that we went ahead and got some Black River rock from Home Depot to add to the decorative rock around here. And and otherwise the fire pit area is looking nice, although we haven't used it a whole lot this year. All the stuff that Vanina has planted has done very well. This is the Anise hyssop, which is past its prime, obviously enough, but it has done well all season. And this is some bee balm here that's also potted and doing pretty well. And up there is a sunflower that's beyond its time, and if you look closely you can see that most of the seeds have been picked out by the birds, and that's fine, because that's one of the reasons we grow them, because there's too many seeds for us to be able to use. Alright, so Cassie is just excited to go wherever we're going. What I said about ground cherries being planted all over the place, there's an example of them. Vanina found the seedlings and wanted to just keep them going, so they are literally all over the place. I think I'm going to go through here, but I'm going to block the dachshund from coming through, just so that I can keep them safe and out of trouble in the garden. And let's see, the pond, which you would not believe it, like almost every day I have to pull out some of those the floating pond lettuce, because it just takes over. I mean, I should do a time lapse and see how fast they grow, because it's just unbelievable. Every time I turn around, it's like, we've got to take those out of there because they're covering the entire surface. But the pond is looking, if anything, at its peak. I forget what plant this is, but it's blooming nicely, and I can't remember what that flower is either that's along the waterfall stream there, but you might be able to see there right in the center we got a little fairy that's hanging out, and another one over here that kind of took a dive, but we'll fix that up later. And what the clematis, I guess that's how you pronounce it, are doing pretty well. They're back along the back. And just lots of greenery, and the water's pretty clear too. Not much to see over here, except for we've got some of the extra pond lettuce that I wanted to put somewhere at least. And there's probably a couple of frogs hanging out in there. But that's pretty much it. The the pool is still up. Luckily, with our auxiliary heater, we'll be able to take advantage of it right up until the end of September. So far, we're doing quite well in the pear department. Some of them have fallen off, which we've taken inside because typically you want to harvest them when they're green before they start turning yellow, because if you let them ripen on the branches and turn yellow before you pick them, they get a little mealy inside. So I still have to look up how you decide when the best time is to harvest them. But the good news is it looks like we're going to get a nice crop of them this year. Now, the story isn't so great with nectarines because, let me see if I can get in close there. See that guy right there? See how shriveled and moldy he looks? Well, that's what happened with most of the nectarines, except for maybe 3 of them, which I picked off and sliced up, and we ate, and they were delicious. But while we were hoping for a dozen plus nectarines, we only ended up with 3, and I don't know that that was anything we could prevent. It just seemed to be a disease or something that got to them. So that was too bad, but hey, 3 nectarines is 3 more than we've probably had ever before. So now a better story is the peaches. Now I hope you can see that is a lovely looking peach, although it's been pecked at a little bit. And there's another one right here. Oops, wrong way, sorry. Another one right there, and one behind it, as you can see. And they are full size, and we just check them every day to see if they're ready, because as soon as they get soft and a little bit more yellow, they're ready, and they need to be picked immediately when they're ready. We've had a few fall off and a few nibbled by probably squirrels, but those are inside, and I've again, cut the bad spots out of them and stuck them in the fridge, and we might eat those tonight. Who knows? All right, guys, I'm coming back in. Watch out, Kissy. I'm coming in. And there's Miss Jolie, waiting for something to happen, like anything, again, except for what's happening. She wants to go inside. She doesn't dislike it out here, but basically she is pretty much ready to go inside pretty quickly. So, golly, I think that is gonna be, whoops, is that a little too high? Gonna be it for Marvin Gardens, August 2021. For historical purposes, we are in the midst, or at the very tail end of pulling out of the 20-year war in Afghanistan, and even as we speak, or as I'm making this video, Hurricane Ida is pounding the New Orleans area. I haven't checked the news, but it was supposed to hit the coast as a Category 4 hurricane, and nothing to be scoffed at. So we'll be checking the news on that. Boy, I guess that's oops, I guess that's all there is. It's a lovely, lovely late August, the 29th of August actually, and it's been 70s. We think we might have just got our last heat wave of a string of 90 plus degree days. But you never know, you can get one in September too. But it's very calm out here. It's overcast but not threatening, and just a nice evening. Nice evening to be in the garden. Of course, every evening is a nice evening to be in the garden. Almost. All right, so that's going to do it. This is Marvin Gardens, August 2021. And we hope you guys are having a fantastic summer. Been able to get out and do summer activities and do family summer visits and everything else that makes summer special. And I had a few barbecues in between. So that's it for now. And we'll see you in September 2021. This is Marvin Gardens, August 21. Talk to you later, guys.